Human Rights Institute podcast at Kean. My name is Tiffany. I am going to be your host for this podcast. And with me is Paul J. Casey of the Office of Career Services at Kean. And we wanted to do a podcast episode on what internships are and why they're really important for Kean students. So, Paul, if you could just tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Sure. Hello, Tiffany, and thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this podcast with the Human Rights Institute. We're thrilled that this is part of the conversation. I've been at Kean about 2 years. Prior to coming to Kean, I worked in higher education in the nonprofit industry. I was the CEO for the Boys and Girls Club of Garfield for several years, worked for Boys and Girls Clubs for almost 15 years. Before I transitioned into higher education. Also have a significant experience in workforce development. Have supported students working their way into career opportunities throughout my career, even when it was with Boys and Girls Clubs. Workforce development was kind of a key focus of mine. Got my master's in human service administration, and my thesis was on workforce development. So supporting young people and students in setting their career goals has been a big part of all of my work, and I'm excited to do that at Kean and excited to talk to you today about internships.
Okay, great. So it sounds like this is really like your area of expertise, definitely. With that being said, I just want to know what is an internship, and maybe how does it differ from other things like volunteering or apprenticeships?
Okay, sure. So an internship is an experiential learning opportunity. It's usually short time defined. So for in the case of Kean University students, usually internships are 3 months, so equivalent to what would be a semester. So an internship in the fall semester would be over the course of that semester, spring, same thing, and then or the summer. Although there are employers that will do year-long internships. So in some cases that the employer can dictate the time of an internship. But internships give students the opportunity to learn and get some really relevant work experience while contributing to the success of an employer. It's different from volunteer work in that, there are definitely goals of learning that are specific to your internship and getting those, career related goals. So when you look at things like what career opportunities give you, you want students to develop, career development, communication abilities. You want them to become stronger critical thinkers. You want them to, learn what it means to be a professional and taking leadership in those experiences, understanding the use of technology in the workplace. So those are some of the competencies that you'll look for students to develop when they're doing an internship. A volunteer opportunity, it's not as focused on little learning. Really, it's about providing service and supporting an organization, but there's not as much of a role that the employer has in helping to support the educational and career goals of the student that an internship has. In regards to an apprenticeship, there are definitely similarities. Apprenticeships do tend to be specific to certain industries. So there are absolutely similarities, but apprenticeships though tend to like I said, be in certain industries. But the internship at the end of the day is very focused on the career readiness of a student, and it really gives them the opportunity to demonstrate core competencies that are relevant to being successful in the workplace. So that is really what internships are focused on. And in the case of Kean University students can earn academic credit for doing an internship also. So that's something that is included in an internship that wouldn't be included in a volunteer experience.
Yeah, I had in my undergraduate, I think I had 3 different internships. They were all kind of based around like graphic design or graphics on, in social media in some way. But what's interesting is that for a while, I didn't think that my internships would have much role to play in the future things I did, because they were heavy into graphic design. They were graphic design internships. And I've never been a graphic designer. I have the skills for graphic design that I learned in those internships, though. So what happened is I didn't think they would actually help me that much, but then they absolutely helped me down the line with other jobs, other part-time jobs, and like my graduate assistantship now directly benefits from that. So they are really helpful. And that leads into the second question, which is, what makes internships so important to the college experience for undergraduates? Like, why can, you know, why is it important to do something extra besides just your like coursework?
Well, that's a great question. The doing things extra, that internships don't really have to be extra. I mean, they can be, but
Yeah.
because as most Kean students can swap out an internship for college credit,
Yeah.
then it doesn't have to be extra, right? So if you're a psychology major, an English major, computer science, you can swap out up to two free electives to do an internship. And 120-hour internship is equivalent to 3 credits. And that gets you one step closer to graduation. So in that case, it doesn't really have to be extra. But that being said, employers also love to see a diverse student, right? So it's not just about what you were able to accomplish academically. It's about, what makes you the whole person. So when an employer is looking at a resume, it really could be, not necessarily that they had a 3.8 GPA. It could be that they had a 3.8 GPA. They were captain of the volleyball team. They were involved in student leadership on campus, and they did 2 internships, and that, so that they juggled all of those things. So an employer looking at that resume may see somebody that can multitask and handle multiple things and take on different priorities. So, that shows an employer that, that their skills that the student has been able to acquire over the course of their academic experience that are going to be relevant to being successful in the workplace. And, in addition to, the obvious of, internships are truly now an opportunity to make an impression on an employer and potentially get a job after they're done with it. And the college credit, the relevant hands-on experience that a student gets on an internship is absolutely critical to helping them define their career path. I did an internship years ago when I was in college, and I worked in a nonprofit organization. And most of the work that I did was supporting the homeless population. And through that experience, I learned that that service was something that was very important to me. But I also learned that working with the homeless, more senior population, which is what the homeless work at that organization was not really where I wanted to go. And I ended up working in youth development and education throughout my career. So that relevant hands-on experience really gives you a peek into the profession and helps to give you a path on where you may want to go. And then, like I said earlier, in regards to describing what internships are, you're really developing those valuable skills that are critical to continued success in the workplace. You're also beginning to build your career network. One of the things that people tell students all the time is that you never get anywhere all by yourself. And your opportunity to build relationships with people in a professional space on an internship is critical, because you just never know when you're going to be able to lean back on those people for advice or guidance or other employment or career opportunities. So, starting to build that career network on the internship is really absolutely important. and even leaning on some of those people to serve as your references for future opportunities or to write you a recommendation on LinkedIn. Those are all great things that you can get from that internship. And it obviously improves your resume, so that's something that is helpful too as you continue to explore additional opportunities. So those are many of the different reasons why doing an internship is really important, and will help to enhance career opportunities down the road.
Yeah. I mean, I can't agree more. I think that I would say today an internship's probably really important for people in any field or like any department or area of study. I think it just is like it proves to a future employer, like a future full-time employer, that you have taken your coursework, but you have now also applied it. So like for me, I mean, for them, that's probably an indispensable like trait that you have. And then, so the next one's important, which is how can a student at Kean find an internship that suits their career interests?
Well, the Office of Career Services is absolutely here to support students in identifying internship opportunities. We also have Kean's online employment and internship portal, which is it's at the website collegecentral.com/Kean. And we would encourage all students to make sure that they've activated their account there in order to begin to search for internships. That's certainly not the only place to look. There's, students should make sure that they have a LinkedIn account. They should be looking on Handshake. They should talk to their faculty members here at Kean. Talk to their other students to see what kind of internship experiences they have in order to, again, start to build that career network. There isn't a kind of one size fits all approach to finding an internship. You have to have a diverse, set of strategies to securing an internship in your career path. And that includes making sure you're looking at all the online job boards, but it also could mean making a list of the employers that you're most interested in working with, and researching those employers and finding out directly on their website or through a contact on LinkedIn what their internship process is, and applying directly to that company too. So the internship search experience really is one that takes a little bit of time. It's not going to be like that first opportunity that you apply to is going to be, you're going to be successful at. You want to take the time to research your industry, find the employers that are taking on internships, and apply directly to them, but also looking in the College Central portal, looking in Handshake, looking in LinkedIn, looking on Indeed, looking in all of these different places for opportunities. Talking with career services and building a relationship with us is also really critical. And then it's just a matter of you using all of those different strategies to put your resume together, and then writing a good cover letter for the opportunities when you're applying to them. Are all critical steps to securing something. And it's all part of the different steps of that process to find, apply, and then make sure that you're registering that internship with Kean.
Great. Yeah, and today there are a lot of like resources now. Well, I mean, the internet's been around for a while, but like the resources as far as like resume design and like best business practice advice, like just developing yourself as a person, like that's all very readily available on the internet now. Like resume design is its own little world where people will like put a lot of effort into it to make a resume that reflects them and their personality, which is really interesting. Especially for like people in like visual arts where I'm from. Like it's a huge it's just like a big part of like who you are. It's like, this is who I am. And you can even design them to be a little bit more kind of comedic, kind of like lighthearted. There are just a bunch of different ways you can develop that, which I just find really interesting. But it's great that Kean has all of these resources. It sounds like um, really like any student is pretty welcome to come in and just like find out how they can secure an internship. I guess a second part to that question is, um, are there any, I guess, or uh, industries or areas where having an internship is like what you would call essential, like you wouldn't be able to have employment without it?
There are, teaching, for example, like you, there are certain majors here at Kean where an internship is part of the program of study.
Yeah, exactly.
So like teaching, you have to do student teaching in order to, graduate and get your teaching degree. Nursing is similar. So there are absolutely majors that have the required internship, but I would argue that, almost every major
Yeah.
doesn't need a required internship, but it is very strongly encouraged in order to, get that work experience and,
Yeah.
to give yourself some of that background skills, experience, and knowledge while you're still in school is going to make you that much more successful in your career after you graduate. So while psychology or English or history or public administration or global studies, or they may not have a required internship, they absolutely are strongly encouraged for students to get that real world work experience.
Yeah. I wonder if it's almost like if you have an area of study where people don't tend to take internships, and I'm not sure which it would be, but if that might be the case where it's not required, not many people do it, I would imagine that like if you do an internship in that kind of case and you choose to have an internship, that would really put you ahead too. So it's like no matter which way you look at it, it's like it's important, I think, to have one.
Yeah, I mean there are students or majors that where they're very focused on getting completed with the undergraduate academic work in order to then go to graduate school, and then so student or even higher professional studies, that then students may choose not to do an internship. But I think that's a small minority. I mean, even the graduate schools or the other professional areas of professional studies are looking for students that have some work experience. Like when I was talking to a student yesterday about getting her master's in social work, and the university that she's looking to apply to get her master's in it wanted to see some previous work experience and or internships. So the internships are also valuable for those graduate school applications, in addition to all of the other reasons that I laid out earlier.
Mhm. And we already kind of touched on this, but are there any tips you can give a student to help them land an internship? I guess maybe if there's some, you could give like the obvious advice, but if you also have to have some like less obvious advice, I mean, that'd be cool.
So, one of the things that I'll tell students is preparing for a job search or an internship search in this case requires hard work. And just like you would prepare for a test, you're going to sit down and you're going to study the material and you're going to make sure that you've got all the knowledge that you need in order to be successful in the test. You're going to do the same thing when it comes to a job search. So you want to make sure that you understand what the employer is looking for. So I don't want you to be in that position where you see an opening and then you just like, oh, this looks great, apply. Click apply or shoot the email out without pausing and taking the time to really understand the opening and what it is that they're looking for, and then making sure that your cover letter and your resume match up to what it is that they're looking for. So If you see an opening with a company and you look at the job description, you're like, this looks like something that would really interest me and that I think that I could be really successful in. Reading over that job description a number of times in order to see the kind of language that they use in the job description, and then matching up some of that same language in your resume is really important, because then you're speaking the same language as the employer. But I would even suggest you take it one step further. Go beyond the job description. Look at their website. See the other people that work for the company. Maybe there's somebody that you know there. Identifying as much information as you can about the company before you apply can help you even craft your cover letter, so you're referencing specific things about their work and how you can contribute to it in your cover letter. So those kinds of extra steps that you can take in order to be, really intentional about your application can make you that much more successful, because a savvy hiring manager is going to be able to tell if you just applied to this without really thinking about it, or without preparing your materials in a way that was showing them how your knowledge and skills can benefit them as the employer. So your resume or cover letter will be discarded because it won't show them how you're going to help them as a company. But if you take the time to do all of that first, then you're going to be more successful in landing those interviews. And then when you get an interview, being able to talk about your experience and how it can relate to their success is really critical. One of the stories that I often share with students is I was doing an interview with a candidate for a position when I was the director of the Northeast Resiliency Consortium. And this candidate had done so much research on our work that she came into the interview, and in her interview, she was contributing to the success of our company by giving us strategies for how we can get more students employed, by telling us information about the grant that she had read a 500-page grant that we had gotten and made herself familiar with that. She had talked to people who were employed by the project in other locations. She had listened to our podcasts and watched our YouTube videos. So she knew so much about our project that she was able to come into the interview and talk to us as if she already worked there.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
That level of homework and work to put into the job search can make such a difference to the employer. So those few steps of making sure that you're really prepared for the opportunity can make the world of difference in pursuing internship opportunities.
Yeah. Oh, it's kind of like, how do you say no to a candidate like that? It's like very impressive.
Exactly.
And then, so this last question is like the other one. What are some tips or guidance for students to decide whether an internship is best for them? And I guess connected to this question is, how can you make sure that an employer is reputable? Because there are certain companies or individuals who might want to take advantage of an intern, or possibly you kind of use unsavory business practices for young undergraduates who are just kind of entering the field.
So that's a great question, and I think that having your radar up in regards to that is definitely important. And I think that making sure that you're connecting with career services is critical from that standpoint as well. So when a student gets an internship here at Kean, after they get the internship, they register the internship with career services by going to the College Central portal and submitting what's called an experiential learning agreement. When they submit that experiential learning agreement, the college, the student, and the employer are all required to approve this learning agreement. So that's one of the tools that helps us hold employers accountable in regards to doing their part. Yeah. So as part of the agreement, they must then tell us, what what the student is going to do on the internship, and that they're required to do an evaluation of the student as part of the internship. So that agreement, to a degree, holds everybody accountable and eliminates that chance of the employer taking advantage of the student.
Mm.
And in the case where a student feels like something is not, going the way that it should, we always encourage the student to make sure that they reach out to us, and those experiences have been absolutely in the minority. I can only think of,
Yeah.
in the past 2 years, one experience where a student was like, I don't feel comfortable, or this isn't a great work environment, that kind of thing. So, having your radar up as an individual is important. But also, like I said, making sure that you're, in touch with career services and registering the internship with us is really important way to make sure that there's a relationship between the employer, the university, and the student.
Yeah.
So, and I think the other thing to do is do throughout your research, and now with everything online, sometimes there's reviews of employers, what you can go to Glassdoor and check out employers reviews from other employees, things like that, in order to, if you feel like there's a concern or there's something there that's not, feeling right, do your research and look into it, and maybe talk to some other people who have done internships. I think that, the big, I answered the second part of your question first, but, going back to the first part of your questions, and like, how does a student know if an internship is good for them? I think that one of the things that I always look back to is telling the stories of other students, whether it's Christian, who was doing an internship in last spring in the middle of the pandemic, and he was in the internship for, a period of time before, everything shut down. And then in the summer, when the company reopened, he had since graduated, they offered him a job full time. So, that's a great example of, a story of a student who, made an impression on the employer in the 3 to 4 weeks that he was there prior to, to the pandemic shutting everybody down. And he was able to secure a full-time opportunity with that company. Or Tessa, who did 4 virtual internships over the course of the last 3 semesters and landed a full-time job with a company as a result. Or Mildred, who did an internship this semester and made a real impression on a company, and they just offered a position for the summer. So, telling those stories of students who have done internships and as a result have seen success in the workplace,
Yeah.
just kind of answers that question for other students. We've demonstrated, or students have demonstrated, that internships lead to success in their careers. So, knowing that's the case, and being able to provide examples of that, and even the data to back it up, that shows that the employers that are hosting Kean interns are overwhelmingly satisfied, not, beyond satisfied with the work that our students are doing.
Yeah.
It shows that, that we've got a lot to be proud of in regards to Kean University students. And, the students that are doing an internship today are setting this, are kind of creating a path for the students of tomorrow. So every student that does an internship, the success that they have then demonstrates to an employer that Kean University students are great candidates for internships. So, that's something that, we'll see continued growth of internship opportunities for Kean students because of the success that our students are having currently.
That's great. So we're coming at the end here. I guess I'll just ask one question that kind of popped into my mind, which was, in your experience at Career Services, have you ever encountered a situation where a student pursues an internship and then gets offered a full-time position without actually completing their degree? Like, the employer asks, "Hey, we really, really like you. Will you come on full time?" And then like the student's like, "I'm not finished my degree yet." Like, have you ever heard of any experience like that where like you end up actually deciding? between your finishing your courses and jumping onto, full-time.
I haven't had the experience where a student has not decided, has not then completed their degree, but we have had students that have been offered a full-time opportunity pending completion of their degree.
Okay.
So, we absolutely have had this, the situation where a student has made a strong impression on employer and then asked to stay on full-time. So, but like I said, I don't think I've had it where a student has been like, well, I'm not going to continue at Kean as a result of being offered this opportunity. But that we absolutely are seeing, the employers be thrilled with the work that our students are doing.
Awesome. So do you have any other questions you'd like to ask me, or any other comments or things you'd like to add?
Well, I think that, in terms the point that I want to make is that really this is all about our students, right? And that internships are giving them the opportunity to get off on their career path. And, we want to celebrate their success. And, I'm so excited about for each and every student that takes on an internship and demonstrates that Kean students are amazing and are going to do great work out in their fields. And this month we're celebrating Internship Awareness Month. So we've had a bunch of different opportunities for employers to come in and recruit our students. We're very thankful for all the employers that have identified Kean as a great place to recruit from. So, making that match with those great employers with our students is really something that we're excited about. And I don't think that I have any follow-up questions for you. We're just encouraging students to make sure that they get in touch with career services. The best way to do that is you can log into your student experience and advise and make an appointment with your career advisor, or you can email us at career@kean.edu. Or when we're back on campus, we're in CAS 201. You can stop in and see us. In addition to myself, we've got Laureen DeLance, who is one of the other managing assistant directors of internships, and Jessica Goldsmith Barzilai is the director of career services. So we're excited to be part of a great team that is really supporting the success of Kean students, and we're looking forward to supporting them in getting an internship.
Great.
And thank you so much for inviting me to join you here today.
Yeah, absolutely. I will also put the contact information about career services and all the links that you mentioned when we post this video. So thank you again for talking with me. I hope you stay safe. Did you get vaccinated yet?
I am vaccinated, yes.
All right, cool. I got my first dose yesterday. My arm.
That's great.
Great. So have a great one, Paul, and thank you again.
Thank you, Tiffany. You stay well as well. Thank you so much.